Well, a good Sunday morning from Hamilton, Ontario, as the federal New Democrats wrap up their three-day convention in a city lovingly called the Hammer by the locals. So as we go from the view from Hamilton Mountain, let's take a look right now at the convention center in downtown Hamilton. This is where all the action has been and where the action will continue this morning. As we see, the doors have just opened up and people are flooding in as the podium calls people to order. So a lot to discuss on this final day, and I'm happy to be joined right now by the NDP House Leader, Peter Julian, also the MP for New Westminster Burnaby in British Columbia. Peter, nice to see you face to face.
Good to be with you.
So listen, so much of conventions is about inspiring the base and making sure that members and delegates are election ready if and when a writ is dropped. Having spent time with delegates, how ready is your party right now?
Well, I think part of it is the momentum we've seen over the course of the last few months. We saw the victory of Olivia Chow in Toronto. We saw the victory of Wab Kinew just a week and a half ago in Manitoba. There's a lot of enthusiasm, and I think what happens when you build on those successes is people are willing to work even harder to get ready for the next election whenever that comes. So I would say, when I look at the delegates, when I speak with them, there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of momentum. They like what Jagmeet Singh is doing. They like to see what the NDP caucus is doing. They know we're making a difference for Canadians, and they're very happy about that and ready to do the organizing work that will take us forward over the next few months or next year or two.
Okay, well, let's talk about the organizing work, because I'm wondering where the party needs to improve, because certainly you, for example, mentioned Wab Kinew, and part of that success was the ground campaign that the provincial party did in getting nominees chosen early, in getting them out knocking doors long before a writ was ever dropped. What do you take out of that experience? How does your party plan to get even better prepared if and when an election comes?
Well, that's why our candidates are being nominated already. I was nominated a few months ago. We saw a number of candidates nominated over the last week. So our candidates are now being nominated. They're now in the field. We have groups, just to give one example, Mary Shortall in St. John's East, a very, very strong candidate, now the party president, elected yesterday. And she has teams of dozens of canvassers going out every couple of weeks, making sure that every door in St. John's East is knocked on. That's the kind of work we have to do right across the country, and I'm really excited about the candidates that are emerging that are willing to do that work. I've attended a number of nomination meetings. They've been full. People are enthusiastic about Jagmeet Singh as potential Prime Minister. They're excited about what the NDP is doing, the difference we're making, particularly at a time that's so difficult for so many Canadians. So that enthusiasm and that work, I think, is going to continue right through the coming months. And we'll see when the election is. The NDP has always been very clear, and Jagmeet Singh has been very clear. What we're doing is making a difference for Canadians. A dental program is going to make a huge difference for seniors and people with disabilities and families with kids. We're fighting for pharmacare. We're fighting for a transition to clean energy and things like anti-scab legislation. And all of those things, I think, touch a chord with the Canadian population that is finding it difficult, quite frankly, to make ends meet and put food on the table.
Well, as you say that, though, and without a doubt, your party has taken a tactic of working alongside with the government, allying yourself for a moment in time in order to get these policies put through. But the Conservatives are the ones right now that are high in the polls, certainly winning public opinion at this point, at least, over their affordability message. And we see the ads on TV. It's not attacking the Liberals, it's attacking the NDP-Trudeau coalition. So how do you convince Canadians that you are the ones fighting for them when the Conservatives are the ones that are actually cashing in on the polls?
Well, first off, the Conservatives do have money. There's no doubt about that, but they've been very weak as an official opposition. And Pierre Poilievre, I think, had a chance. You're seeing already a softening of their vote because he's really had nothing to offer of any substance. When grocery CEOs were gouging Canadians, as they are now, Pierre Poilievre wasn't willing to say anything. Like Mr. Trudeau, he's very willing to subsidize the banks and billionaires. He's not really doing anything for regular working people. And that's the difference, I think, between Jagmeet Singh and Mr. Trudeau and Mr. Poilievre. I think the reality is Canadians have seen the NDP force the Liberals to do a number of things. The dental care program is one thing. The public inquiry, Mr. Trudeau was absolutely opposed to that. Well, we used every procedural trick in the book. The Conservatives did nothing, and we now have a public inquiry into foreign interference. And that's just one of many examples where the NDP caucus, 25 strong, is making such a big difference. And so I agree with you that we have work to do, but the message that we're getting from doing the door-to-door, and I do it in my riding regularly, is people like to see a political party and a political leader that is willing to put Canadians first, putting aside the rhetoric and actually working hard to make a difference for Canadians.
You know, I need to ask you about party unity, because yesterday we saw some pro-Palestinian protesters, among them a couple of delegates, at least to my understanding, who are part of this convention. They got into conflict a bit with party organizers. They essentially left feeling very dissatisfied with the process. So what does that say about party unity right now?
Well, what speaks to party unity is the incredible consensus we had around the emergency resolution on Israel and Palestine, calling for a ceasefire, condemning the vicious, terrible Hamas attacks that killed 1,000 Israelis, the fact that we are now seeing the death of civilians in Gaza. The NDP proposal passed with an incredible consensus. 96-97% of the delegates on this floor voted in favor of that. That's a consensus that I feel is extremely important for Jagmeet Singh and Heather McPherson, our foreign affairs critic, to take forward into the House of Commons
But
this
there
week.
were people that left very dissatisfied yesterday over what took place, feeling that they were silenced in the process of what is meant to be a grassroots party.
There were a few, but when you look at a consensus of 97% of the convention floor, I've been attending convention for many years. I've never seen that kind of consensus around a resolution that talks to peace in the Middle East, talks to ceasefire, condemns terrorist attacks. This is something that I think shows yet again that the NDP are the adults in the room. We're the only party having these discussions. You don't see it in the Conservative or Liberal Party. And it shows yet again that the NDP is ready to govern. We're the adults in the room. We've proven that over the last few years through COVID relief, through the dental program, through the things that we've achieved in Parliament. And I think Canadians are seeing more and more. Jagmeet Singh is a leader that they can relate to, and the NDP is the real party that is working hard on their behalf.
Okay, well, let's leave it at that. You have much work still to do before the day is done. Peter Julian, thank you for the time.